Goddamn moving slow tonight, boys. And I made her. It's Wednesday night. You're here on Strang Theory, the weekly live YouTube show where you ask the questions and we try to give all the answers concerning anything stringed. I'm JP Cormier. Welcome to the JP Cormier channel. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do so. It helps us a great deal. And if you want to join the private membership, the join button's right beside the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you get a ding when we put something new up. And just a quick thank you to all our great partners in this endeavor and all of our endeavors here at Ginger's Barn. G&G Music, Glen Gotel up in Antigonish, our number one guy, best boucher dealer in the world. And Fantasy Music in Halifax, also a great boucher dealer, Yamaha Handmade, you name it, Recording King, they got all of that. Recording King, Boucher Guitars, Robin, all you guys, love you. Yamaha Guitars, of course, Recording King, I said. KNK Sound, our friends out in Oregon, and make sure I sound good plugged in. And a bevy of others that are growing daily. Gallagher, thanks to Dave and everybody down in Murfreesboro. And here we are. None the worse to wear. I was out of the room for a while. Been on crutches for 2.5 weeks, and I've worked my way down to one crutch, which I really not that good at, but I'm doing the best I can with one leg. So, and if you want to know what happened and you don't know what happened to me, I had a tragic accident with a bus full of midgets. And I was going to the circus and yeah, there was a bad accident. Anyway, so there you go. Welcome to the barn. First beer in 3 weeks. Okay. All right, we're good. How you doing? Love you. Glad you're here. I want to say something real quick, too. I had a bunch of stuff that... there's so many things going on like this. It's impossible to answer everybody's comments and questions. I want everybody to know that's watching this and that ever hears this, that I see every single thing that comes through YouTube, doesn't matter what broadcast it's for, or whether it's for this or Live at Ginger's Barn or Guitar Stuff with John or any of those things. I see every single comment. I get a notification on my phone. I read every single one of them. Some of the ones that seem to be time sensitive, I try to answer as many as I can. But there's a lot of people, just want to say this because it's important. There is a lot of people right now watching us. We're getting very close to 10,000 subscribers, and I know more people, watch than that. Like, 'cause some of my videos have 100,000 hits, so there's lots of people watching. They're just not hitting subscribe. Shame on you. Hit subscribe. And there's a lot of people buying guitars based on my recommendations. So the first thing is, I will never lie to you about anything that I show you on Guitar Stuff with John. Anything that I say, I'll stand by 100%. But unfortunately, there are some people that are getting so excited about what I'm saying, and I'm glad you are. Don't get me wrong. I want you to be excited about it, but I also want you to use common sense. And you should never buy guitars sight unseen. That's a rule. And I know a lot of people recently have talked to me about buying guitars online that they've seen me review here, and they've got the guitar, and it's a piece of shit. And that's no good. That sucks. That's not the way this is supposed to work. But the variable that we're experiencing is that you're buying them online. And you should never buy any guitar unless you're dealing with a Gallagher, a Boucher, like a high-end builder, is the only place you should ever buy a guitar before you've played it. So if you want anything, like the Yamahas, there's not so much problem there. If you buy one of those or online, you're probably going to get a killer. But even those guitars, as well as they're made, incredible instruments, I would never tell you to just buy one off the internet, because it's not the same thing as going into a store and seeing the guitar and playing the guitar and knowing exactly what you're buying. And this is the second part of my act where I try to get this coat off without destroying the whole set. And so, like, especially for companies like Recording King, which are factory-made guitars, or any guitar that's factory-made like that, you got to go play them. I've been lucky. They're not somebody mentioned to me today that they thought that perhaps Recording King was sending me prime stock because I'm a reviewer. They're not. I've received all the instruments from them right off the line, right? So, and I got a bad one, and I did a review on it. So it happens, and I got lucky. There was the one guitar I didn't like, the T16, and the 328. I sold that as well, but only because I have a bevy of world-class dreadnought guitars from Robin Boucher. I have Boo Boo, I have the Gallagher here, and the Doctor right here, and but you have to play instruments before you buy them. It's the smartest thing to do. So if you really want a Recording King, I can wholeheartedly endorse them to you. But you need to go to a shop where they are and go through, because there's going to be a ton of them. They're that inexpensive for the shop that the shop usually carries a dozen of them. So you can walk in, play 12 of them, and pick the one that meets your criteria. And if none of them meet your criteria, wait for the stock to refresh. It'll get sold to somebody, and then new stuff will come in, and that's how you do it. So please keep buying guitars. Don't let that scare you off, but use your head. When you're going to buy an instrument like that, don't do it online. It's very dangerous because you're liable to get something you don't want, but you might get a killer too. But it's a 50-50 chance that you might not like what you get. Remember how subjective guitar is, okay? And I appreciate your support, and I'm glad you're telling me these things. And so I'm sending that message out to all my followers and listeners. You can 100% count on my accuracy about these things, but when you're going to buy them, make sure you have seen them, played them, protect yourself. And, when you start to get out of that factory level guitar, you can buy them without seeing them. If you're going to order a Boucher, no problem. You're going to love it when you get it. A Gallagher, same thing. Collings, Bourgeois, whatever. All those makers, they don't fool around. They're not going to send you garbage. And if you're waiting for a guitar from them, chances are you've ordered it and they're building it for you. It's two different worlds, factory as opposed to luthier bench guitars. So anyhow, I just wanted to just run that out there because it's important. I know so many people are paying attention to us right now, and I really appreciate that. And it's incredible. There's so many things going on. We've got guitars coming in, new guitars coming in that are really going to be exciting. I got our friends in Ireland at James Martin Instruments are going to be sending us a guitar apparently by the end of November. That's going to be really exciting. He builds really cool guitars that I've never seen anything like them. And there's another world maker that's contacted me that's going to be sending us one of their flagship guitars, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I can say that it's this company's already crossed paths with me. Well, it's been in my life forever. It's one of those guitars that you kind of looked for when you were a kid and beyond. And they're getting involved with us and sending us a guitar for review. And Yamaha, we've got 2 more Yamahas to do here from the Handmade series. We've got a couple of Recording King things coming in. We've got the new, really excited about the 318. The RD 318s coming in. There's an open back banjo coming in from them. There's so many things. So keep your hats on, your heads and your hands and your, you know what I'm saying. And just keep your ear open. And as time progresses through the next, looking like 6 months, we're going to be really busy here with a lot of different things. So just keep your eyes open. The next Yamaha review will happen this weekend. And so there you go. There's the update. It gets longer each week because more things keep happening. So there you go. This is awesome. Thank you. I love you. Ginger, go.
Our first question. Actually, we have a super chat donation just because they're glad to see you back in the studio.
Cool.
It's from P. Gar.
Who?
Their YouTube name is just P. Gar.
Cool. Right on.
But the first question comes from Ian Rossiter.
Ian.
What was the last thing to inspire you?
Okay.
Inspire you and torture me? Is that?
Yes. I'm not going to say much about it because I'm not going to say much about it. But I can tell you what it. I'll tell you. Let me just put it this way. There's a guitar player from Wales who's living here in Canada now. And he's in Moncton. He's considering moving to the Halifax area. We're hoping. And his name is Gareth Pearson. He's one of the greatest guitar players I've ever seen. And something he did has caused quite a stir in the realm as of late, and it's highly involved with a project I'm working on. So let's just leave it at that. Gareth Pearson. If you don't know Gareth, go to his channel and subscribe, because the guy is a goddamn maniac. He's just incredible guitar player and tremendous guy. So that's a guy you need to check out. Go to the Gareth Pearson channel. He's also on a channel called, what's it called? Candy Rat? Is that the one?
Something like that.
Yeah, his record label, I think, is called Candy Rat. I think. That doesn't sound right. But anyhow.
It's not that. It's something like that.
Maybe it's Rat Candy.
I don't think it's that either.
Rat's ass.
Good.
I don't know. What is it?
Know.
Anyhow,
Not
go
bad.
check him out. He's awesome. Next.
Next is Rick Williams.
Rick Williams.
Wonder if any news on the question I asked several weeks ago about comments on the Simon and Patrick Showcase series by Godin Guitars.
I just recently discovered them this last week, and I wait a minute. Godin?
So it says. Simon and Patrick Showcase series.
Oh, Simon and Patrick. Okay, yeah. I just recently discovered them. No, I'm lying about that. It isn't. It is, see, the problem. Here's the problem, right? Goddamn Godin is like everything. Godin, they're separate companies. Godin, Simon and Patrick, and Norman are all separate companies. Godin might own them all now, but there seems to be something weird going on, because I just saw, and I'm trying to get my hands on one because they're so killer. I just saw what appears to be a presentation series Norman that basically has the same appointments as the new Godin acoustics that came out last year. So yes, like I've seen them. They're what I've seen. They appear to be really good guitars, but I can't tell. I know one thing is that the Godin version of this whatever this is, this group family of guitars, the high-end guitars. Well, they're not high-end. They're anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. So the Godins, I wouldn't play one. They're too quiet, and they're just too quiet. They got no volume, no projection. But this Norman version I just saw last week blew my head off, and it was at a close friend of mine who you should all check out in Kitchener, Ontario, Brick House Guitars. He deals them. And he has a YouTube channel you can subscribe to, and it's awesome. He's a great guitar player. Roger Schmidt is his name, and he goes on there and he plays every guitar he has in the shop, like through really nice mics, well filmed. And that's where I saw these Norman that looked like the Godin. They're appointed like the Godin. So the Simon and Patrick, I'm assuming they must be similar, because all these companies seem to build the same guitar at varying levels of quality, right? But the one that impressed me the most of all of the things that I've seen that I never saw before were these Normans. Holy shit, they were unbelievable. And I'm trying to get my hands on one now. I highly doubt that I will, because Godin is not a very good company for. They don't need to give anything to anybody. They don't give a shit who reviews what. So I doubt that they're going to be sending me one, and I would never spend my money on it. So, but you never know. Maybe they'll ship me one out to take a look at, because I think they're a Canadian builder. They're factory-made guitars, but I think they're good guitars, and they have a familial connection to Robin, because Norman's Robin's uncle. So it's all sort of in the family there. So anyhow, there's my take. That's the best I can tell you, without actually seeing one in a shop around here, because I've never seen one here that I know of. Maybe I'm not looking for the right thing, but I've definitely not seen the Normans or the Godans here. I've only seen them at Rogers Place in Kitchener. So there you go. That's the best you can do. If you want to check out that world of guitars, Rogers' channel is amazing. Brickhouse Guitars. And Rogers also the main dealer of Ferk instruments in North America. So that's another reason to check him out. Love Roger. All right, who's next?
We've got Aggregan Gork.
Aggregan Gork.
Sounds like a new person? Or
He's not new.
Oh, he's incognito.
He's, I wonder if I could tell.
I don't know if he wants people to know.
Okay, I won't tell. But this guy, I know this guy, he's like a brother to me.
Okay.
He's like a brother to me. Aggregan Gork. Okay, buddy, bring it. What do you got?
Have you ever played the Santa Cruz Tony Rice Professional? If so, what are your thoughts?
I owned as you know, Aggregan, I had a Tony Rice Santa Cruz when I'm pretty sure I did when you joined the band. And
he says go ahead and say who he is.
Okay, because the story is, I'll answer the question first. So yes, I've never played a pro model, but I've been in the room, I've been across the table from somebody playing one, and there's no difference in them. It's just the slightly different appointments on the guitar. And Santa Cruz is a good builder. They're good guitars, but they didn't, in my opinion, they didn't enjoy the success they should have. Mostly because they were building copies of a Martin. Like, I think they put Rice's guitar through an MRI to find out exactly how it was built. And that's all fine and good, but they're capable of much more than that. And I think they get lost in the mix somewhere along the way. As far as I can see, you just don't see them like I think you should. I wish I could remember that man's name. It's a sin. The guy who owns the company he's a lovely man, and so they built me a custom-made guitar, and I had bought the Tony Rice model, but it's just appointments. I think there's gold hardware on the Pro Series. And I also think the Pro Series is Brazilian rosewood instead of Indian. That's a big difference, right? So if you like Brazilian rosewood, I'm not a fan of Brazilian. I think Brazilian sounds too dark and has a real ugly kind of super high end on it that I don't like. And the wood itself is not, in my opinion, it's not roadworthy. I think Brazilian cracks easier than any wood I've ever seen, and except for maybe Cocobolo, but Cocobolo is very close to Brazilian. It's so brittle and hard that it doesn't fare up well. You see these old Martins; they always get a split in the back or the side or whatever. That's why Brazilian rosewood is incredibly dense and hard and I know there's lots of Brazilian guitars that sound like $1 million, and that's true. But I think that's the only difference. And I never played one, but it doesn't matter because I played the regular version, and they both sound the same, essentially. The Brazilian's a little bit hotter than the regular. So I got to tell you this quick story. The guy, Aggregan Gork, is actually an old bass player of mine who toured with me for several years. And he's a wonderful man, and there was times when we were all rooming together because we were traveling so much we didn't bother getting two rooms. We were just going into a room, getting two beds, crawling in there for the night, getting up and going away the next morning. And one morning I woke up and Adrian was sitting over at the table by the window, and he was reading the liner notes from a CD. And I kind of opened one eye, and I was half asleep. I was like, "What you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm just checking out the band on this record." and Adrian speaks very quickly and very softly. And so we started to list off all these players that were on this album. And of course, we knew them all. It was an album made in Cape Breton. So he was saying, oh, it's Ali Bennett, Fred Lavery, blah, blah, blah. And he's listing off a few people. And Agrigan Gork. And I was like, and I suddenly woke up at that point and lifted my head and said, who the hell is Agrigan Gork? I had misheard him, but he had said, and Richard Burke is what he said, but he said it so quickly and quietly that it sounded like, oh, Ali Bennett, Agrigan Gork. So that he has had that name ever since. We've called him Agrigan Gork for 20 years now. That was one of the funniest things ever. Agrigan Gork. Love you, Adrian. Glad you're here. All right, who's next?
J-Lo.
J-Lo. I hope it's the real J-Lo. She cut one of my songs.
His picture doesn't look like the real J-Lo.
Oh, God.
But they are on a beach in California.
There you go.
So, anywho, when and why would you use a 12 fret? And aside from losing accessible 2 frets, is there a downside of flat picking on a 12 fret?
I've answered this question before in different contexts. The reason I use a 12 fret guitar, and my signature model is a 12 fret guitar, because the scale's slightly different. Maybe it might be the other way around. It's the same thing. This is a mystery to me, because I've talked to people about this, but let me put it this way. The scale and all that stuff aside, what's really happening with a 12 fret guitar is it gets easier to play because it's a 12 fret. Whether that be because if the scale's different slightly or whatever's going on, there's less pressure on the strings. The strings feel softer and easier to deal with, which makes the guitar twice as fast as a 14 fret guitar. At least it has in my experience. And also creates a ton of tone. The way that it's put together, the neck is joining the body 2 inches closer, and the neck vibrates the body more, in my opinion. And so there's no drawback whatsoever to flat picking on a 12 fret guitar. You're going to have all the tone and probably all the volume or more, and that's why I use them. I've got several of them here. Like I've got, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 Recording Kings. I've got 2 Bouchers that are 12 frets. I've got, I don't know, there's quite a few of them in here. And the only real drawback that I find to them, and I beat this drawback with my signature model, I made that model a cutaway, so I don't lose the frets at all. And if I'm playing Yogi, which is my other Boucher 12 fret, I just stay away from really complex things, like I won't play Take 5 on that guitar because I can't. There's a second part of it's way over the body. But I've been using 12 fret guitars all my life, and another thing you got to think about too is that the neck, it's faster, it's shorter, so it's faster. It takes less time to get from the 1st fret to the 12th fret, really. And I'm not sure if I'm right about the scale. I'm really not. I've asked and been told and forgotten, because frankly I don't care. I know what they feel like, and that's what it feels like, is that the neck is faster and shorter and the strings are easier to deal with on the 12 fret body. So there you go. That's I would never stay away from a 12 fret because it's a 12 fret. I would not play it because it's a piece of shit. If it was a good guitar, there's no question I would use it for anything I could want to play. So don't be afraid of 12 fretters. They're awesome. Cheers to California on the beach.
It's 5 degrees here.
Yeah, it's 5 degrees here, bastards. Okay. All right, go ahead.
We got a super chat from Jeff Gallant.
Jeff Gallant
Says, Big John, are you ready to take over PEI next month with Dave? I'll try to make my way to the stage for an autograph.
Well, I hope so. I'm not sure how kind of a coup it will be, but going to do our best. I don't really have much of a leg to stand on, so we're hoping to be sort of partially normal sometime around the first week of December. So, but we'll definitely, there's nothing wrong with my hands or my voice. So what?
So you'll definitely be there.
I will definitely be there. I haven't missed a gig. Matter of fact, the morning after I get out of the hospital, I drove to Cape Breton and played Celtic Colors like this. Except then I couldn't even move my leg at all or put any weight on it whatsoever. So, yeah, I've never missed a gig in my life, and I'm not going to start now. So there we go. Who's next?
Caper away.
Caper away. Good to see you back.
Have you ever tried chicken picks? Guitar picks.
Chicken picks.
Chicken pick guitar picks.
No. Is this a real thing? Chicken
I,
picks?
I assume so. Are they like chicken feet? I don't know.
I'm going to look that up. Chicken picks. Okay. Was that caper away?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking that up. Get back to me next week. My people will call your people. All right.
Next is Brian Flynn.
Brian Flynn. How are you doing, buddy?
Have you seen the Gordon Lightfoot movie? Nice to see Red, Shay mentioned, and Ian and Sylvia featured.
Yeah, it's a tremendous movie. I watched it 3 times one night in the States. It's on Netflix down there, but not here. I don't even know where to see it here. But I watched it 3 times. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's just amazing. What that man did is just unbelievable. Unbelievable what that man accomplished. So, what are you going to say, right? It's Gordon Lightfoot. Mm-hmm. Who's next?
Jeffrey Cohen.
Jeffrey Cohen.
It says, I know that you use KNK Pure Mini pickups. Do you use a preamp, and if so, which one? Or do you go straight to the amp or board?
I go straight to the amp, and I've always pretty well done that. The only time I would ever use a preamp would be as if I had the Trinity system from K&K, and I probably use their preamp. They have a good one. They have actually a big one, a sort of a rack mount size one that's really nice. It's got good EQ on it, and it's simple and powerful. Otherwise, if I had my druthers, I would use I used to use a Raven Labs blender, which was a great, unbelievably good piece of equipment. It's a duplicate channel. You come out of your guitar stereo and have a double-ended cable and just plug each one in, and you got one mic and one pickup. Mic going through one channel, pickup through the other, and incredible piece of gear. But I think they're out of business now, which is sad because they were really good. So, if I was going to go back to that, like a third-party blender, I'd have to go and look for one to see who makes the best one now, which would have to be, and when I say best, I mean the easiest for my dumb ass to use on stage, that I can come out of it and go into my Fishman amp, which defeats the purpose of the blender, really, because it's going back to interleave stereo, and coming through the Fishman through that preamp, which is better than most preamps. That's why I use the Fishman. For that matter, I could come. Speaking of that, I just thought of something. I don't even know why I never considered this before. But my Fishman amp has 2 identical channels. So if I had a stereo system in my guitar, which would definitely be a Trinity, because they just sound better than anything, I could come out of the end with a double-ended 1/4 inch and put one in each channel of the Fishman and have complete control. And they come out blended out of the back post EQ. There's a good idea. So that's what I would do. If I was going to use a dual source system, it would absolutely be K&K Trinity, and that's probably how I'd do it. I would just come right out of the guitar into both channels of my Fishman Loudbox Artist. Out you go. Perfect. So there you go. I just thought of that. Never considered that before. I don't do it anymore. So I used to. I used to use Trinities and what else did I? Well, actually, you know what? I think the K&K Trinity is the only dual source system I ever really used. I've used I-beam systems and Baggs Anthem systems and stuff, but they're all blended on board. You have to cut a hole in the side of your goddamn guitar, and I don't want to do that. So that's another reason why the K&K Trinity is, unsurpassed, in my opinion. So, all right, who's next?
Brother Joe.
Brother Joseph.
He's got some trivia for you, it seems.
Oh, Jesus.
What entertainer has a Martin N20 made in 1969?
A what?
Martin N20.
I have no idea. I never even heard of that guitar. I'm going to look that up. An N20. I don't even know what that is. That's a new one on me. I'll look it up, Joe. Okay, who's next?
Oh, I have to find it. Here it is. Alvin Smith.
Alvin Smith.
Says, are K&K pickups any good for nylon string, classical, flamenco?
Absolutely. They make pickups for every single stringed instrument you can imagine. So, yeah, they have a system dedicated. I'm not sure it's the Pure Mini, but it's going to be something just like that. And they have one that's specifically designed for nylon string soundboards. So absolutely check them out. Just go to K&K Sound. I think that's the name of the website.com, and they have
the description of the video too. Their link.
Yes, their link is in the description of this video. So just go to their website. They have everything you could possibly imagine, and it's the best you can buy. You're not going to find anything that sounds better. Well, the thing about it is, it's going to sound just like your guitar. That's the whole point. So there you go. Who's next?
Just a comment from Kevin O'Handley.
Kevin O'Handley.
He says,
Brother Kevy.
That Dave is interested in doing the inlay work on his banjo. We talked about.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Cool. So, just an update for everybody. I forgot to mention that. Our guitar builder that's up in Pictou County, Dave Gagnon, is eventually going to come here. I had to postpone it because of this. But now that I've only been able to come back up here I've only been up here for 48 hours. So as soon as I get a little more mobile, Dave is coming down with some of his instruments. And as we see, Kevin O'Handley, a great banjo player from Canso, down in Guysborough County, he's getting some inlay work done on his Gibson, his Mastertone, and Mr. Gagnon's going to do it. So that's good. It's good to know if you need some inlay work done. There's a guy right in Pictou County. He's super good. So, who's next?
Arg.
Arg?
Yes. Okay. Says, ever play a mandocello?
No. They're so hard to find, you'd never be able to find one. Like when I think of them, I think of Gibson. And you'd pay $50,000 for one of those things. So, because they're basically a mandolin the size of a cello, and they're unbelievably expensive and rare. So no, I never have. I've heard several of them. I have records with them on. Norman Blake and Peter Ostrusko and those guys. They've done recordings with mandocellos, but they're a massively expensive product, and something you'd never use. Really, might use it a couple times, and then you'd be out all this money for God knows what. So, yeah. Who's next?
Oh, the answer to Joe's question was Willie Nelson.
Oh, N20. It's a classical guitar.
And for nylon, apparently.
Right. There you go. Well, there you go. I had no idea what those things were called. I've never even seen a Martin Classical in my lifetime. I've never seen one. Obviously, Willie plays one. But I personally have never held or seen one of those guitars in real life, just pictures. And so there you go, N20. Cool. Good to know. Thanks, Joe.
That's my cue. Maddie S is next.
Who?
Maddie S.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something else there. All right.
I just picked up a Seagull Coastline. I'm an old man new player. I love it, but I respect your opinion. What are your thoughts on Seagull? Thanks for your knowledge and channel.
If you're happy with it, go for it. I mean, I've said this before. I mean, they're not a bad guitar, and they've been known to make really good guitars. You know, they're a typical factory instrument. Sometimes they just put one together and it kills, and then the rest of them are just pedestrian, and then you have a few that are just start fire with, right? But if you're happy with yours, stick with it. Me personally, I think their necks are too big. I find them too bulky, and a little hard. The action's a little hard, in my opinion. That for me, I like a you know, a slender, not slender, but a well-shaped neck, and low action, easy to play everywhere on the neck. That's not usually what you find on a Seagull. So, but if you got a good one, don't get rid of it, because, like I said, they often pop one out to scare the shit right out of you. Doggo.
Joe, come here.
Beans on the warpath.
Bean. Bean.
Hey.
I don't know what she's hunting.
Chill.
Something in the
Dumbass.
darkness.
All right. Stop being a dork.
Feel the witch nose?
And you now have Bean's opinion on Seagull as well, which is pork, 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 pork.
Oh, Jill, that's enough. Jill, stop it.
Hey, will you shut up? You're not even barking at anything. She's just sitting looking in the middle of the fucking air, barking at air.
She hears something.
She's look, she's right in the corner.
Right by the microphone. It's cell
Yeah.
phone. Bean.
Okay, next question. Next question.
It's helpful, Jill.
Yeah.
We got Terry Short.
Terry Short.
Hey JP, what do you know about a company called Northern Guitars?
Never heard of him.
Jill, come here.
I will look that up though. Northern Guitars.
Shut your dog mouth. Come here. Hey. Shh.
Okay. I will look. Who was that?
Stop. Terry Short.
Terry Short. I'm going to look that up. Get back to me next week. Northern Guitars. Okay. Next.
Lyle Goldberg.
Lyle Goldberg. He's been here before.
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
How much sound do you lose on an acoustic guitar when you add a cutaway and a preamp?
Well, none, theoretically. Generally, cutaways don't affect the sound at all. That's a wise tale. That cutaway guitars don't sound as loud or as good as a full guitar. That's not. What you got to remember is a cutaway is taking away this little piece right here. There's not much going on here, and you still have another side full here. So if you're scooping out both, then you'd have a problem. But this isn't going to hurt anything. The bulk of sound and air moves through here, so it doesn't really make much difference. Now, if you're putting a huge preamp in the side of your guitar, you've got to cut out a piece of wood that big for one thing, and then you've got a big